It's Monday, January 25th, and this is now on HNN.
In these dark times, with the pandemic knocking us back on our heels, it is not enough to occasionally show aloha.
Governor Ige outlines his economic recovery plan in his State of the State address.
We all have jobs to do, you, me, and everyone in Hawaii, to lift ourselves and each other back up into the sunlight.
House lawmakers are set to deliver an article of impeachment against former President Trump. I'm Skyler Henry on Capitol Hill, where some Senate Republicans are already opposed to a trial.
We should make sure that this president cannot ever hold elected office again.
These stories plus will take you to Wuhan 1 year after the world's first lockdown. That's coming up on This Is Now. Good afternoon. Thank you for watching This Is Now. Jonathan and Mahea here, coming to you from the HNN Digital Studio. Let's get right to today's top stories.
Well, as the pandemic drags on, Governor David Ige delivered his State of the State address to cameras rather than an assembled audience of dignitaries and lawmakers.
We are still projecting that revenues will not fully recover to pre-pandemic levels until 2024.
Today, Governor Ige detailed his plan for shepherding Hawaii out of dual crises, the ongoing pandemic and its economic fallout.
Government will have to tighten its belt. Our citizens will be asked to do more with less, and we will all need to help each other. Unlike past years, our main budget initiative will be to find ways to cover the historic shortfalls. There are many paths toward that end. I know that there will be disagreements on how we get there, and no one has all the answers. But I know the best answers lie in the ones we arrive at together, not in spite of each other, but because of each other. More than ever, we need to lean on that collective effort to manage this fiscal crisis.
Ige has warned of dramatic budget cuts, but has pledged to postpone state government worker furloughs thanks to federal stimulus aid.
In the meantime, we still have to find ways to revive our economy and do so as quickly as possible. There is no silver bullet, and it will take time and perseverance.
The lack of mention about taxation was surprising. This had been covered pretty extensively in the news leading up to this speech. Proposals to potentially tax Hawaii's highest income earners at relatively high rates. And you didn't get the sense that he was using this speech to try to generate some political support for that move, something we probably need to do if we're going to manage this budget crisis.
And just moments ago, state lawmakers just held a media event reacting to Ige's State of the State speech. Here's what they had to say.
It was really an opportunity for the governor to talk in detail. If he wants to do tax increases, then he should have been there, reassure the public this is what it's going to be like. Maybe it's temporary, maybe it's not. But have the conversation right now instead of being afraid of the reaction.
And then finally on the Hawaii 2.0, I think there's a lot of folks concerned about economic recovery and what is Hawaii's economic future. I think waiting for recommendations by April, when we will be ending on April 29th, is too little too late. And I would hope that we kind of accelerate these conversations.
All right, Mahea, you were there anchoring our live special coverage of the State of the State all morning long, and you were there with Colin Moore. I think a takeaway a lot of people are seeing a lack of detail in this speech, right?
That's right. Well, State of the State addresses aren't meant to go into the weeds on policies, but we certainly were expecting a little more detail. In fact, Colin Moore, our analyst, was saying he thought this was a missed opportunity and that the governor should actually have apologized because of the of many problems in getting the unemployment checks out. So that was a big issue. One thing that I saw, I'm really interested in schools. My son goes to a public school, and the governor said that they were going to be really aggressive on 3 initiatives to serve as a model of schools for the future. And so I wanted to know, What are those initiatives? Just say it, 1, 2, 3, and he didn't go there.
All right, we're going to continue to follow these developments, have you the very latest on First at 4 at KHNL. Meanwhile, let's get to some breaking news from the State Department of Health. 123 new cases being reported today and 0 deaths. Meanwhile, Oahu's second mass vaccination clinic is now underway. We got Sammy Salina with the very latest on that.
Today is the official launch of the Queen's Mass Vaccination Clinic. It's at the Neil Blaisdell Concert Hall, and today they're hoping to vaccinate 1,300 kupuna. It is appointment only. You just go to covid.queens.org to begin that process. You can also call 808-691-2222 to schedule as well. When it's your turn to receive the Moderna vaccine, you should park at the Neil Blaisdell Center parking structure, and parking is free. They're asking folks to use Victoria or King Street to enter. You need to bring your ID as well as your insurance card. You shouldn't arrive earlier than 1 hour before your appointment and no later than 10 minutes prior. You're expected to return 28 days later for a second dose. According to their website, they will only be vaccinating residents 75 years of age and older at this time, and not folks who may accompany kupuna. One adult is allowed to come with them.
But it's about a 40 to 45 minute process from start to finish. And we're moving with abundance of caution because of the age of the population that's coming through this couple weeks.
There was a lot of anticipation to get the vaccine, but we're just happy that we could get it. And there was enough supply to get the vaccine.
The clinic will be open every day starting at 8 a.m. except for Tuesday. Sammy Solina for This Is Now.
New today, just hours ago, President Biden signed an executive order to lift the ban on most transgender troops in the military.
And what I'm doing is enabling all qualified Americans to serve their country in uniform and essentially restoring the situation that existed before with transgender personnel, if qualified in every other way, can serve our government in the United States military.
Trump had argued that transgender people in the military would lead to, quote, tremendous medical cost and disruption. Congress takes the next big step towards a Senate trial against Donald Trump. Skylar Henry has the latest details from Washington, D.C.
House impeachment managers will do it again tonight, hand-delivering to the Senate an article of impeachment against Donald Trump. He's accused of inciting the protesters who stormed the Capitol on January 6th.
I hope conviction, ultimate disqualification are the very first powerful steps toward unity in our country moving forward.
But Democrats will need help to convict the former president. At least 17 Republican senators would have to side with their Democratic colleagues.
For right now, I think there are other things that we'd rather be working on instead.
I believe that what is being alleged and what we saw, which is incitement to insurrection, is an impeachable offense. If not, what is?
Senators will officially be sworn in as jurors later today, although the trial won't begin for another 2 weeks to give both sides time to file briefs and finalize legal strategies.
But a growing number of Senate Republicans are calling for no trial at all. Some claiming it's unconstitutional because Mr. Trump is out of office.
I think the trial is stupid. I think it's counterproductive. We already have a flaming fire in this country, and it's like taking a bunch of gasoline and pouring it on top of the fire.
So this is typical of a party that does not want to take responsibility. And the fact is that this trial will give the Republicans a chance to, after hearing the evidence, and we all experienced this insurrection in real time, by the way, they will have a chance to decide whether inciting an insurrection is an impeachable offense.
For his part, former President Trump has called the upcoming trial the continuation of the greatest witch hunt in the history of politics. Skylar Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
A tweet leads to the resignation of a local GOP official. Lacey Denise has those details.
The Hawaii GOP's vice chair of communications resigned after backlash over controversial tweets about the QAnon conspiracy. The GOP has since removed the tweet, which said followers of the group do not deserve mockery and they were, quote, largely motivated by a sincere and deep love for America. They also called believers patriots. QAnon supporters believe that Trump is waging a secret war against pedophiles and Satan worshippers in the media, business world, and Democratic Party. Hawaii's Democratic Party issued a statement saying, quote, there is nothing patriotic in defending QAnon adherents. There is nothing honorable in defending Proud Boy antics. Vice Chair of Communications Edwin Boyette called the discussion of the Q conspiracy an error of judgment as he announced his resignation. For This Is Now, I'm Lacey Denise.
New today, Princess Cruises has sold its Pacific Princess ship to an undisclosed buyer. The cruise company says the ship has sailed more than 1.6 million miles, but they say they're doing this to remove less efficient ships from their fleet. The ship would make regular stops in Hawaii. It's now been a year since Wuhan, China saw the first of many COVID-19 lockdowns around the world. David Culver takes us back to the epicenter.
It is a city whose name evokes mystery, allegations of cover-up, and agony. Wuhan, China. CNN returning to this, the original epicenter of the coronavirus outbreak. On January 23, 2020, this metropolis of more than 11 million residents locked down. We left hours before, beginning a 2-week quarantine in Beijing. For 76 days, Wuhan remained sealed off.
And here we are again, back 1 year later, the Huanan seafood market. This at one point was believed to have been, by Chinese authorities, the ground zero of this outbreak.
This time last year, security had ushered us away within minutes of reporting.
Now, January 2021, no security here. We've been walking around for several minutes. They don't seem to care.
That was until we started looking inside. We noticed some people working behind the gate. Suddenly, a seemingly random passerby on a bike shouted at us, saying, "Don't be sneaky." He later identified himself vaguely as working for the government. He told us to walk around and try the entrance.
Can we go in?
We can go in that way. He said apparently we can go in, so we'll see if we can actually get inside the market.
But I'm going to ask this guy, can you go in? You can't go inside? Oh, tell him we have a COVID test, a negative COVID test.
Okay, you just can't get it.
You can't get?
Don't take the pictures.
Okay, no pictures. Yeah. So clearly a bit sensitive. Perhaps it's because we're foreigners or because we're journalists.
The virus's origin has become highly politicized. U.S. officials accusing China of covering up and allowing the virus to spread. China defensive, saying the Trump administration was deflecting blame for its own mishandling. A team from the WHO is now in Wuhan, tasked with trying to find out the truth. And yet, geopolitics aside, the human suffering, it is universal. Young Min spoke with us knowing she could face pressures from officials, but a mother who's lost her only daughter has no more to lose.
When I sat down, you thanked me for getting the truth out. What is the truth as you know it?
The local officials did not tell us about the pandemic, she said. If measures were taken, I would not have sent my child to the hospital, which was the source of the infection. Last January, Young's 24-year-old daughter had been receiving treatment for cancer. She contracted COVID-19 and died in early February. When I speak about this, some parts of my heart still ache, she said. Amidst the deep pain, we also encountered moments of hope in our return. On the eve of the lockdown last year, we visited this fruit market. This woman selling sugarcane told me at the time that she was terrified. She stayed, fearing the financial burden. 12 months later, we met again. At that time, I was crying all the time, she told me. We were suffering and scared. Above her face mask, the pain still visible in her eyes. She says the people of Wuhan are resilient, likening them to heroes.
I'm so glad to see you in person and to know that you made it through the lockdown and you're healthy.
The market mood remarkably different from last year. Business bustling, people much more at ease.
Would you say Wuhan is back open and on the path to recovery?
It's not just starting from now, he says. It started very early, to be honest. In my opinion, Wuhan had already begun to recover since mid to late March. Delivery driver Lao Ji has become well known on Chinese social media as he chronicled life during the lockdown. The then and now are striking. A city desolate amidst the lockdown, followed by a summer with packed pool party images that shocked a socially distanced world outside of China. And a New Year's celebration that brought Wuhan residents shoulder to shoulder. Though with new cluster outbreaks in the north of China, many here in Wuhan once again wearing face masks, cautious of the lingering unknowns, and still surrounded by the haunting memories of a lockdown that kept millions of residents, along with their grief, sealed inside. For some, only now, 12 months later, it is just beginning to surface. David Culver, CNN, Wuhan.
We got more breaking news coming in here to the H&N Digital Center. Governor Ige is holding a media press availability right now, taking questions via phone from reporters regarding his State of the State speech. Let's listen in.
Pandemic lens to them to see what suggestions and actions or proposals that have been made in the past really would resonate with action that we can take immediately.
Manolo Morales, KHON2, go ahead.
Hi. Yeah, along the lines of broadband, I guess if you can offer just some of how do you see it with regard to the timeline? How soon could we see the benefits of something like this and the program would be up and running in full force?
You know, I think what we're seeing, and in a lot of instances, you know, Hawaii was really ahead of the game in terms of broadband. You know, our cable franchise agreements was the model that many other states would have wished that we could have followed. You know, we have fiber connectivity to every state facility and every public school across the state. What this pandemic did expose is that that's not good enough. Even in spite of the fact that we have fiber to every single community, that there are still those in our community who don't have access to broadband. For example, you know, those in public housing, not all of the public housing facilities have access to broadband, and those communities are suffering. So what the initiative is really to look at those gaps. We understand the pandemic showed us that every single person in our community needs to be connected or they will fall behind. And this effort is really about leveraging federal, state, and private sector resources to assure that we can get reasonable access to broadband so that every student can learn.
Thank you, Governor. Audrey McAvoy, Associated Press. Audrey.
Yes, hi. Thank you, Jody. Governor, I wanted to ask about a comment that House Majority Leader Bellotti made. She said that she wanted to hear more guidance from you about how you plan to bring back tourism and bring it back better than before. Is there any guidance that you would provide?
You know, certainly I think the Safe Travels program is kind of the template that we're looking at. We do believe that pre-travel testing and now with the rollout of the vaccinations, as the CDC provides guidance about those who are vaccinated and their impact on travel, we certainly would be incorporating that into what we would propose to be doing moving forward.
There we have Governor Ige giving us an update in regards to his State of the State address. A lot of people calling for more details, as we mentioned earlier, Mahea. We'll have much more on this. I know you're looking much more into this story to cover evening editions of Hawaii News Now. Meanwhile, more breaking news, really. There's weather warnings out there. Check out this snow image coming from the Big Island summits. Whoa, that's a nice dusting out there, right? And they can expect more of that and more rain and the possibility of flooding. Here's Guy Hoggy with an update.
How's it on this gloomy Monday? We've got that disturbance. It's very juicy, dropping a lot of rain on the Big Island. We're talking island-wide. They're getting a lot of rain, and some of that rain will start to move up the island chain. Although the forecasts tell us that Kauai and the Big Island will expect to see most of the rain, there will be scattered showers for Maui and the Big Island as well. So heads up, be aware of what's going on out there. If flooding conditions do arise, make sure to be ready to take quick action. And those trade winds, not that strong just yet. They will be getting stronger today, and for the next several days, it's going to be quite windy. So today, winds are expected to pick up to 15 to 30. Cloudy skies, scattered showers, especially for the Big Island where they could see some heavy rainfall. Temperatures running a little on the cool side because there won't be a whole lot of sunshine. Not a whole lot of surf to speak of either, except for the east shores, big, dangerous, and choppy because of those trade swells. And then south shores could see a little bit of something by this afternoon, a nice little off-season swell expected into south shores. So again, increasing clouds and showers over the next couple of days. Some areas, especially windward sides, could see a fair bit of rain on Tuesday and Wednesday. And again, the rain is favoring the Big Island and Kauai. Drier conditions with stronger winds due in on Thursday. Keep it here on Hawaii News Now. We'll have all your severe weather updates.
High surf has been threatening homes on Oahu's North Shore. The beach is eroding very rapidly. University of Hawaii researchers say the issue needs to be addressed now before it's too late.
The longer we wait, the more properties we have that will need some form of assistance to or rescuing to move away from a very dangerous location, to move away from the shoreline.
Experts say with each new swell event, there's a wave run-up and removal of sand and erosion of the land that sits under homes. On Friday, the state land board fined 2 beachfront owners for seawalls used to protect their homes. This comes as a Sunset Beach resident tells us his home was recently flooded by a wave.
And last week, the waves came into my house and down the sides of the house. It was insane because I have no protection. This is it. This is all I have is sand.
researchers tell us while seawalls are a temporary fix to protect properties, it also puts the natural environment at risk. New at noon, changes are coming to new microwaves. Makers are going to start adding safety features so kids can't easily open them. Daniel Backus has more.
A year ago, Zoe showed us how she explored in the kitchen and how easy the 2-year-old could open the microwave.
I just never thought of it as something she would go into or be interested in.
But this video shows how a young child can get inside the microwave and pull out hot food.
He picked up the bowl and the juice just ran straight down to his chest.
Kiana Foster's son Zamari was badly burned when he was 3 years old and grabbed a bowl of soup from the microwave.
The pain that I felt, it was like somebody throwing a torch in my chest.
He was rushed to the hospital with a second-degree burn.
As I pulled the shirt off, his skin came off with the shirt.
Researchers looked at 11 years of medical records and found more than 7,000 cases of similar microwave-related burns.
The more extensive ones can require stay in the hospital for weeks. Take some deep breaths.
Pediatrician Kieran Quinlan from Rush University Medical Center was part of the research team that found children as young as 17 months can open up a microwave, so they pushed for new safety features.
We wanted to change the standards so that it was harder for kids to get into the microwave.
And they were able to do just that. Starting in 2023, manufacturers will have to add some kind of safety button or latch, so it requires 2 steps to open a microwave.
I'm just really happy how it turned out.
Parents who want to keep kids from opening their current microwave can buy a safety latch like this one. Experts say it's also important to keep the appliance where children can't reach it. Danya Backus, CBS News, Los Angeles.
All right, let's see what the internet is talking about today. And you know, Valentine's Day, right around the corner. It's hard to escape those sharp, heart-shaped items, right? And soon you'll be able to find them in the cereal aisle, too.
Ooh.
That's right, Cheerios bringing back the heart-shaped O. This is not exactly for Valentine's Day, although they're being released right now. This is to promote heart health and heart health awareness is why they're doing it. So you'll start seeing them on store shelves very soon, and they'll last for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
What'd you find out there, Mahan?
Yeah, love me some Cheerios.
Yep.
Well, for the first time in nearly 40 years, you won't see any Budweiser ads during this year's Super Bowl.
What?
The commercial spot for the February 7th game is a reported $5.6 million. Budweiser says it's shifting the money it would have spent on a slot to support COVID-19 vaccine awareness with donations and a future ad campaign. Meanwhile, Anheuser-Busch's other brands like Bud Light and Michelob Ultra will air 4 minutes of ads during the big game.
Love those commercials. That's going to do it for This Is Now on this Monday. As you saw, a lot of news we're covering today. Catch it all at First at 4 on KHNL.